this video, I'm going to walk you through how to automate your reporting. It is one of the most important pieces to help you scale your business, especially in this day and age. So let's jump straight into it. I'm going to take this face away, scram it to the bottom, and then we're going to go straight into high value stuff. So first things first is you want to go into smartlead.readme.io. That is going to be the hub where all the API data is sitting for us. Now, before we do that, I also want you to go ahead and download a software like Postman. It's a tool that's going to help you go ahead and effectively run these little mini tests before we actually push them out into Zapier. Now, do note, you do not need any programming experience for this. I will walk you through this bit by bit, but obviously you want to use something like Zapier or Make or N8N. All of them are completely fine because Smartlead is built to be completely platform agnostic. All right, so step one, what are we trying to solve over here? We're simply trying to collect all the information of a particular campaign and list down all the replied responses and have the category of that response in our little spreadsheet. So I've created a little spreadsheet over here in my G Sheet. It's called an analytics sheet. I have lead name, lead email, lead category, just for simplicity's sake, right? We can obviously make this a lot more complex. Now, step one, just so you understand how it works, is let's go over here to the fetch lead categories endpoint. You can just find that over here. And the way the API works is super simple. You want to copy that URL and you want to look for what it will predictably give you as an output by clicking on this thing at the bottom. So it's saying, yep, if you make this request, it's going to look like this. So how do we actually make that work? Is you want to go to something like Postman, like I suggested, and you want to fetch in that URL. I just pasted that exact same URL like you can see there, and pop in your API key, right? This API key you can get from your profile. I will obviously change this so that it's not stolen, but this will effectively go ahead and give you your data to go ahead and fetch. So if I just click on send over here and do a get request, then it's going to go ahead and fetch all my endpoints, my categories along with the ID, the created at, and the name as well. So it's super easy, nice and simple. Now, what we want to do is we may want to use that in the future, but for now, we're just going to go into the second thing, which is called the fetch campaign statistics by campaign ID. What this is doing is effectively going to go ahead and respond back with all the leads that have performed a certain status, right? That have either opened an email, they clicked on an email, they replied, unsubscribed, or they bounced. In this case, we don't care about the open, clicked, or unsubscribed or bounce. We just simply care about the replied. So what I'm going to do is, again, in a similar note, I will simply copy this. I will go to Postman, and I've already done this for the save time. Pop in the campaign ID, which is, again, how do we fetch the campaign ID? Super simple. So loaded up a quick demo campaign. The way you can fetch this is super easy. Just this little URL that you see here, that ID over there, that number is the ID of your campaign. And that's what you want to go ahead and use whenever they mention campaign ID in the API. Sweet. So I've gone ahead and done that like I've mentioned over here. And what I've also gone ahead and done is just clicked on the get request. So what it's done is beautifully gone ahead and responded back with all the leads that have responded back, positive or negative, right? And the way I've done that is I've gone ahead and pasted in that exact URL that we've seen over there, and I've added in a query string, right? A query parameter with email status equals replied by just putting and email status equals replied. Now, I've gone and fetched all this data. Super cool, super simple. Now, I want to translate this information into my G Sheets. Obviously, we can't do that directly using Postman. We can, but we don't want to do that right now. So how do we do that using Zapier? So let's go ahead and switch screen and show you how to do all of this in Zapier. Now, like I mentioned, you can use this with N8N, Make, or Zapier. It does not matter. We're completely agnostic. So let's say you want to go ahead and make your reports work in a way where you're fetching all your replies back, any new replies that you've received that are of a certain category as an example, and you're just plopping them into a little sheet that you've got over here. So how do we do that? Firstly, you want to go and start with a trigger on Zapier. I've predefined this for you to just save time, and you want to go ahead and schedule the Zapier by day. So I'm running this every single day, and I'm running this at midnight. You can do it 1 a.m., 2 a.m., whatever you want, right? Click continue, and all that's done. Cool. Then you want to add in a second step, which is the same get request that we performed. If you remember, just a few seconds ago, we added in an API key over here, API URL to go ahead and fetch the campaign statistics. That's this particular endpoint. And then what I ended up doing was put in the API key as a query parameter string, and the email status is replied. So same sort of thing, pretty much exactly. So that's the API key and the value and the email status and replied. Cool. So 1-1. And what we're going to do is say send us JSON. No, leave all this the way it is. You only want to do JSON when you're making a post request, so we don't need to worry about that. And this little key field over here is if we're wrapping this data for you and responding it back in a particular key. But with Smartlead, you're getting it just as a raw data set. So you're just getting it as data, for example, right? So you should be good to go there. Cool. So then what I'm simply going to go ahead and do is, for the sake of this, I will just click on continue, and I've obviously done a test over here, so it's gone ahead and fetched all the replies back for me. So we have all the data that we need. It's the same exact data that we have over here, right? So nothing different from this. So we're win-win. Great. Then the next thing I want to do is do something called an iterator, because what's happened is we've got an array of data sets, right? An array of JSON blobs that have come back. This data has a bunch of JSON blocks that have come back that have the values that we want, which is these fields over here, which is the lead name, lead email, and lead category. So you can use something called an iterator in Zapier. N8N and Make also have the same thing. So you want to click on the plus icon, I'll show you, and then just type in loop, I believe. Yeah, looping by Zapier, right? So I have got ahead and done that by doing that looper over here. Yep, really delete. And then what you want to do is the looper will effectively work with whenever you received line item values from here, you want to create a loop. So you click on continue, and then what I'm doing is I'm effectively saying this little column of, this little field, which is the data set that we've got from the previous step, the get request. I'll just do this for you very quickly. I'm going to type in, or we can do this in the get request, then that is the lead data name, like that. You want to do the same thing for lead data category and the email address as well. Cool. And loop iterator current starts at 1, which is pretty much just, do you want to consider the first 1, first 2, 3, 4, 5? You want to start at 1. Cool. Maximum number of loop iterations, 500. In this case, obviously, I got X amount of responses. You can do a lot larger number if you want. That's perfectly up to you. Click on continue, then it's showing me an example saying, yep, look, I'm going to go ahead and filter over this person, and it's going to have lead category over here. But like I said, this person over here, this particular individual does not have an interested or not interested lead category. It's a blank state. Cool. So we don't need to worry about that. And then, yeah, that's it. Just click continue, then go to your, click on the plus icon, click on G Sheets. I'll just show that to you again as well. You want to type on Sheets. Select Google Sheet, then just follow the prompts to go ahead and select, the event over here is going to say create a spreadsheet row, because that's what we want to do. Then you want to go ahead and click on continue, select the drive, select the sheet, select everything. I'm not going to do that right now because that's already done. I'm just going to delete this. So I've selected that sheet, which is effectively this analytics sheet that I've mentioned over here. I'll just walk you through how I've done that. I've said create spreadsheet row, just like you saw. I selected the account, then I've selected the exact sheet, which is the analytics sheet, and then the sheet 1, which is representing of the sheet 1 over here. Cool. Now that's done, here comes the cool part. We need to map the individual fields. So I have this column called lead name, which is picked up very easily for me over here. And I want that lead name to come from the loop that we just did. In that loop, we were mapping those individual fields, right? Remember we said it's going to loop through the entire array, go one JSON object at a time, and it's going to pick up each JSON object, and it's going to look at the key values of each JSON object. And we said, if you remember again for memory, that this little key that it picks up in that JSON that it's receiving, and what is that JSON? That JSON is basically this value that we have over here. This is what you'd consider the JSON, right? So from this particular blob, I want to pick the lead name to be the lead name, the lead email to be the lead email, the lead category to be the lead category. So I've done that over here by saying, the action, the lead name to be the lead name, category, email. And I'm simply just going to go ahead and do the same mapping over here and say, look, I want you to go ahead and take the lead name, which is this one, and fill that up with the step that I have over here in the loop and get the data lead names. The way I do that is simply just click on the drop down and I want the lead name, right? So, okay, there we go. No. There you go. I just want to maybe delete that. All right. So we've got the lead name, we've got the email, the lead category. I click continue, and that's it. So as you can see, this is an empty sheet over here. If I just go ahead and retest the step just for the sake of the retest, and I click, let's wait a second, boom, it's pushed in. Like I said, this is an empty lead category. If I filtered this previously, by the way, when I ran the loop, if I ran a filter, you can do this in certain tools. I can easily filter this to just show the interested responses, because guess what? There were interest responses if I type in interested, just as that. So you can see there's a bunch of people who are interested in the lead category, right? So that way, that sheet is now going to be filled in with a bunch of people, the lead name, emails, and lead category as interested, not interested, meeting request, bounce, whatever it might be that you might have set up, and that you can have a nice little clean sheet over here, and then you can have a graph set up on the right side that will simply show you, all right, the number of potential for this particular day, this particular campaign, and this particular time frame. I have got these many interested, these many replied, that are not interested, these many meeting booked, and you have a nice beautiful graph that you can easily work through reporting as well as your analytics. Now you might ask, hey, you just said date range, how do I do that? Very, very easy, because the campaign statistics by campaign ID will give you your entire campaign's data. But if you just go over here and click on the second API, you actually get to go ahead and decide that perspective to the date range by simply putting analytics by date. And then what you want to do is have a start date and end date query string, and that will do the whole job for you. Cool. I hope that helped, and I hope this assisted you in creating some automations. If you have more questions, there's a lot of these type of videos coming out. I'm super excited for you. I'm looking forward to you bringing more automations and sharing your comments and tips in the comment section below or in the Slack channel, wherever you've seen this. Have a good day and chat soon.